Alright, welcome to part 2 of this tutorial, custom rigging of a custom character for Cartoon Animator 4. Where we left off, we had this baby, we brought it into we brought it into our Cartoon Animator, and we need to finish setting up the 360 degree face, and let's get going. So first, let's fix this within Photoshop. The more you can do in Photoshop, I feel like the easier it's going to be in Cartoon Animator. So let's go back to Photoshop and fix a couple things. Number one, let's move those 3 facial components we added down right above the face folder, and that way when we import it they should be there rather than up at the front, and we don't have to manually do them all in Cartoon Animator. Next, I noticed these eyes when I reversed them, flipped them, the irises were flipped, so I need to flip those irises back, so I'm just going to quickly do that. Horizontal, there we go. I believe it's also in the other 2. I squint, iris, edit, transform, flip horizontal. Same thing with the iris change, edit, transform, flip horizontal. Very good. Now that that's fixed, I hit Command S to save that, and I think that was everything we needed to fix. Let's just turn on the shanks so they're there. Very good. Alright, I think we're good. Now let's go back and we're going to re-import. So I'm going to delete, I'm going to go back to the stage mode, delete this character, and let's fine-tune this and do some fun animation. So let's drag in our new updated one. It should open up in composer mode. There it is. You notice that the face is now fixed because we dragged those layers down to the face in Photoshop. Now there's a few ways. I'm talking a little loud because I have a heater on in my office and it's pretty noisy. I'm going to go turn that off. There's a few ways you can work on the 360 head. One of the ways you can do it is taking the 360 degree head creator. What we need to do is enter the 360 degree head creator menu or button function by clicking this icon here. And what that's going to do is going to show us some defaults, right? Now, if you look at this, we can determine why the hair has done that. Now, don't be alarmed. This is okay. We're going to learn how this works. What I like to see is, are there elements I like that the software has done, and I really like what it's done with the eyes actually. So if I were to hit preview, the eyes are kind of in the, I like what they're doing. I typically don't morph the eyes like that, but it works. So I like that, so we may just stick to that default. But you'll see things like the hair, and when we turn right or left, why is the hair going clear over there? I'm just going to experiment just for the sake of learning. Let's go back into Photoshop and let's go find that hair. So see how the back hair is way up here, the bone label? Let's just put it right here in the center of the head, save, and let's re-import that and see if that makes a difference on the hair. This is kind of a trial and error here thing. I didn't think of doing this previously, so I've saved it. I'm going to re-drag it back in. This is why it's so important to set it up all right in the Photoshop, that you're not having to tweak so much here in Cartoon Animator software. So I'm going to go back into 360 head creator, and now let's just see if that interesting. So it's like it's pivoting at a certain point using that bone. Is there anything else? So we've got the back hair and we've got the back hair too. So I wonder if that has something to do with it. I'm going to delete the back hair too because we don't have that folder being used. I don't think I even have it here. Back hair 2. There should be, oh wait, I did put, oh no, just kidding, I did. Let's go undo that. I did have back hair 2, and it's right there. I forgot I did the alfalfa poke up hair there, so we need to leave that. So I think we're good. So we're just going to deal with what we have. I'm going to hit save one more time. Go back into Cartoon Animator. And this process is kind of repetitive. As you get more used to it, it becomes quicker. You kind of know where things go, what to do, and how to do it as you get practice with this. One shout out I have to give is to a friend that runs a site by the name of 2D Animation 101, and he does a really good job at helping you get the basics and making your animations look really nice. So 2D Animation 101, he's got a lot of YouTubes out there where he does a really good job at helping you. So Mark Diaz, 2D Animation 101, he's an awesome guy. If you're watching this, go check out his channel. I'll put a link in the description as well. So back to where we were. We're going to take this head and let's get it all fine-tuned. So we're going to go to the 360 head creator. I really like what the eyes are doing there. So that's one way to use the default, but another way, which is I think is really nice, is to use this tool right here, the quick head turn setup. What's nice about this, let's go ahead and enter into this, is you can come in here and say, all right, when on this character, when she turns her head, I want her to go so many degrees, right? And depending on how you want it to look, in this case, we're going to do a morph based. The next one I'll do a sprite based. But because it's a morph based, I don't want her to turn 90 degrees. I want her to be more of a 45 degree, because with morph based, that's kind of the max that I want to go. So if I were to use this tool, I'd stick around 45 degrees for the head. Same on this side. And then looking up, that's kind of a good position. And then looking down, that works as well. So if I hit apply, we could use this setup, and again, we're going to adjust things, but I'm looking mostly at the eye positioning and the ears and kind of just seeing if it makes it look smooth and realistic as I go through this. So that's one way to do it. So if I hit apply, that would work. The other way is to just do it manually from what Cartoon Animator just by default put into here. And so when I do this, I look at the eye positioning. I like that. I look at the head morphing, and it did a pretty good job, and it saves a lot of time. You're going to want to adjust these no matter what. Now looking down, I don't like it all, and looking up, I don't like it as much. There's some weird morphing going on. So, but I love how they did the upper corner and the lower corner, and I like how the eyes are positioned. We just need to move them. So it's a battle between that versus using this and setting it up this way, which I think is more of a natural feel versus the morph base. Although I do like the morph base, I'm going to go with the natural feel of this. So I'm going to hit apply. But those are just two different ways you can do this. So now that I've hit apply, I need to come in here, I need to work on each angle and making it look a little bit more realistic. So let's start with looking up. Okay, so what I always base on is the middle center pose. I look at her hair. Let's do her front hair. So it's right by the forehead. Looking up, it looks like her hair went way too high. So I'm going to go over to the layer manager, drag this over here, and I'm going to take her hair. We have right here front hair and front hair left, and I'm going to bring them down, I think. There we go. And right about there. Now, one thing I like to look at is like, where does it go in relation to her eyes, right? And so when she looks up, am I going too far down to make it look like her hair just all of a sudden grew over her eyes? So that's a reference point that I use to make sure that I'm doing this where it looks realistic. Now, her ears, obviously, we're going to move those up. And so I'll go back to the center pose, her ears. I'll say, okay, realistically, her ears shouldn't go lower than that based on the center pose. You can click on the object here, or you can click on it over here to move things around. It's kind of cute, you know, we do get a nice little fat baby chin there. We'll see how that looks when we're done. I'm going to get those blushes in the right position, so I'm going to go back to the center. The blushes go right about to almost half of the eye and right over the nose by a nose length. So when I come up here, I just got to make sure that that's where they're at, and that did a pretty good job. I like where those are at. This needs to come down the under hair shadow to right about there. Now with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the mask because I don't want it going outside of the head. And I'm going to do that with the blush as well, so it's not going outside of the head. And it looks like I need to move it over. Let's go back to the center, Yeah, it needs to be moved over slightly. And then let's see what this one looks like, moved over slightly. Okay, now the back hair is down too far, so I'm going to move it up just so it's kind of tucked, not so much to the neck, but I mean, you've got your alfalfa, but she's looking up, so it can hide a little bit. Let's go take a look at what that looks like. Hit preview and just go up. It's kind of like where it's going. The hair could move a tiny bit more. But it feels natural. It doesn't feel like the ears are like going clear out of their place. They are going out a little bit on the right ear, her right ear, so I need to make sure I fix that. So looking at her right ear here, I'm going to come up here and just slightly adjust it to come in because her ear doesn't move out when she looks up. Okay, let's check her other ear. It actually went in a little bit on the other ear. All right, that looks pretty good. The hair, I'm going to readjust, so I'm going to go click on it over here. Not the under hair, I need her actual back hair, which is right there. Oh, that's the alfalfa. I need the other hair. Where did it go? I need that hair. Back hair too. I don't know why it's separate like that. I'll have to look at that. And so we're going to move it down just a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. Preview. Up. Down. So you'll see like when she goes up, there's a little gap in her hair. I don't like a ton, but you can't really see. I think that looks pretty good there. Some of you might be screaming at the monitor like, what are you doing? One thing I may just unmask is these under hair, because it kind of gives a little bit of a feel there. So now when I come down and back up, I think that works. But here I'm going to mask the under hair because I don't want it sticking out, as well as those are masked. Okay. So now that I have this one, rather than go to the corner right away, I'm going to come back down and do the right, and then we're going to use this tool right here, the average tool, once we finish the right side, which will help us get a better feel of where this should be and make it look more realistic. So from here, with her turning left, let's see what we can do here. First, let's move her hair over. Okay. Kind of like that. Let's get her back hair moved over. It's not going to be that extreme, I don't think. Let's take a look back at the center pose, into the right pose. Now, one thing I like to do, because I'm not doing a full 360 head, is I don't like it to be that extreme. So I'm going to move her ear back to where it's touching the face. I'm going to move her eye back. I don't want her to have to go off like that. I don't like that feel. So I'm going to bring all of this back, and it's almost a 45-degree angle, but not so much because I'm doing a morph base more than a sprite based head. I don't want to do that extreme of a head turn. I'd rather have it less extreme. Now I am going to slightly shrink the eye just a little bit by dragging this to kind of give it an effect. Now we could have the eye just go like that. It's kind of fun. Gives it an artistic appeal. Where did her other ear go? I think it's a little too far off because we're not going that far anymore. That looks a little better. And see, here's the other side versus all the way over to something like this. It just feels more natural. Let's hit preview. Well, the hair needs to move with it. I think that's the problem there. So I'd still need to move the hair a bit. And I may need to add a side hair where we fill in any gaps there. So let's go ahead and hit preview off. And then I think because she's moved over here, the hair realistically needs to be right about there. And what that leaves us with is a gap right here in hair. So we need to go back and fix that gap. But before we do that, to not lose any of my work, what we need to do is save this character and what we've done so far. I'm just going to quickly move the brows over where they should be. Very good. And just make sure the mouth and nose are not super far apart. The eyes are actually a little closer, so I'm actually going to bring it even more this way. Great. So one thing I like to do whenever I am working on this so I don't have to fix it because I'm going to go back and edit the PSD and re-import it is one of two things. I always like to save the character, override it from the last time I saved it, or just save it as a new one. That way I just have what I've done, and then in the 3D head, or excuse me, the 360 head, I like to save this baby's head as well. And so I'm going to call this, all the work we've done on the baby's head, I'm going to call it fam set 02. This is my second family set. It's going to be baby front template. Great. And what that does is it saves the 360-degree head poses that I've worked on so far, so I can just reload them and pick up where I left off. So I'm going to close this, go back to stage mode. I'm going to delete this character, come back to Photoshop, and we need to add a second head, set of hair there. Okay, and so the easy way to do this is to copy paste the bone that's already there. So I just copy pasted this one, and I'm going to label it as 3. I'm going to move it. I'm just going to move it to about right here, because what I'll probably do is take this back hair and I'm going to use that as a duplicate layer. Now I have 2 of them. Let's go back and go to Cartoon Animator. And the fun thing is, and the payoff of this is, once this is done, you can use it over and over again, and it's a base template. This is the hardest part of rigging, is getting it all perfect. But once it's there, you are good, and you just use it as a base template for any outfit, and the character's ready to go, and you can start animating. But this is one of the parts that's the hardest, where someone could build a business just rigging characters, if that's their desire. Alright, so we're going to load our 3D data that we saved, and we're going to save it again once we're done. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to go to Layer Manager, and it looks like we have yeah, that's pretty bad. So I'm not liking the direction I'm going. Something's just not looking like it should. So I'm going to actually start over, and this does happen if I just feel like I can't get it right. I'm going to go ahead and re-import this character and use the other default that I liked, and see if we can't work with that. So I'm going to come back in here, I'm going to do front, go to composer mode. This is where tenacity and patience comes into play, until you get it right, until you like it. And it may just be the way I'm doing this. So I'm going to come in here, 3D, and this time I'm going to use the defaults and see if I can't play with that. So here I have the defaults this time. Alright, so the fun part, now that we've got the head where we like it, we can come back and do more details, but for time's sake I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and do the default test here. Just hit all. Give it a second to load.
Down, left, right, and some natural movement. Eyes closing and blinking. Up, down, left, right, and rolling. A, E, I, O, U, and meow. Smile, angry, sad, happy, surprised, and scared.
Great. So that's the fun little test to do. One thing I like to do once I'm to this point is make sure I go File and close this window, File, Save Character. So I have her template saved. It's completed, it works, it's functional, then I have it there. So there she is. Replace. That way I can just drag it in from Real Illusion and she's good to go. So let's come in here and let's just play around with some of these functions here. So there's the face control. It's a cute look right there. I really like that. The ears could use some work there. Not too... like the ear goes way up there. I think the ears are a little strange. They need to stay back more. So that's probably one thing I'll fix is the ears. Hey, boo! Boo! Let's go ahead and just for fun throw in an animation. Perform 360. Let's just try. Why not?
I really don't want to.
Really cute. You'll see a couple problems we can deal with and address, like her arms and the layers. Easy fix. What I like to do, just for this example's sake, let's use the Bone 2D motion key editor. I call it the Bone editor. Is I take her arms so they're not like the way this is made. She's just going to have to keep her arms outside of her body there, or it's going to look weird. So that's her starting pose, and then let's get her ending pose. So her ending pose is right about there. So let's just drag this. Maybe just do a reverse here. And do that. So it looks a little more natural there. Because her arms are not on the front like some of Real Illusion's demo characters. We just have to kind of adjust things and do different, poses. Just try to make it look as natural as possible. I could put her arms on the front, and to do that, we come in here to this editor, and I want to move her arm. Where's her right arm? Left arm, right arm. And you have your options here. I want to either send it to the front, send it to the back, move to the top. So I'm going to send it in the front of the torso, the hip. And see how it puts it right there? It just kind of looks funky to me. I don't like that at all. So I'm going to undo that. And
Do you want ravioli?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good. So let's go fix that face. The ears is the only thing I see that I don't like. And then we're basically done. So now we have a baby. I mean, that's the wrong voice, but
I really don't want to.
super cute. One thing I noticed with the hands, I think the hands are not proportioned correctly. So you can see the sprites change. But as soon as it gets to here, they change there. I think what we need to do is first make sure they're Let's go back to our composer and make sure the hand layers, so layer manager, I'm going to go ahead and collapse everything and make sure the hands are above the forearms, which they are. So file, save. Well, one was, the other one wasn't. Replace. And then we've got them above the hip layer and the feet. Okay, great. And sometimes the feet are good to have, especially for a baby, above the head, believe it or not, as are the shanks. And the feet should be above the shanks. That shows that foot. And then now I'm going to save the character. So we have all that those updated positions. Replace. Let's go back into the stage mode and zoom out and hit play.
I really don't want to.
Now the hands are in front of there. And so let's go back and let's fix where the hands. Interesting how it just right there. So the very beginning, this is something I need to figure out. I don't know if it's a bug or what it is, but in order to change it, I've got to come in here and send a front of the face. And then same thing with this hand, send to the front of the face. There we go.
I really don't want to.
And then one thing I don't like is the hands bend direction. And these are just the fine-tuning things that you're gonna see, you're gonna figure out how to do as you animate to make things look as realistic as you'd like. So I'm gonna zoom in and fix the hands. I don't like what they're doing at all. They're just a little too bent. Let's try that and see what that looks like.
I really don't want to.
And you'll notice how the hand goes back because it's predefined. Now I'm just using predefined animations. So as you do your own animations, these will be more fine-tuned. And you see her forearm is no longer above her face. The easy fix on that is the layer. So let's turn this off. Let's go to the layer manager and let's click on her left forearm and make sure it's in front of her face. And it looks like it was, but these pre-recorded ones sometimes are glitchy. Same thing on the other side right there. We have the right forearm in front of her face. They're a little glitchy. There we go. That's better. So let's go to here. Let's loop it. Let's bring this back to here. And let's hit rewind, zoom out, and play.
I really don't want to.
Super cute.
I really don't want to.
And there you have it, a fully rigged character, ready to go from scratch. The hardest part is fine-tuning and making sure things look good and worked well together. Hopefully this has helped you. I do see one other thing that's probably bugging you. Right there, her elbow goes right into her body. So what I'm going to do is change that animation. And rather than, I'm going to come in here and hopefully... I guess what I could have done is, I'm still working on learning this more, is to keep the end effectors. And I think that's what I need. Yeah, and then come over here. No, just bring it on out right there. Let's see what that does, just for fun.
I really don't want to.
It's a little better. Now it's an adult pose that I'm using on this, so it's not really baby-esque, but you'd use a baby reference if you wanted to do the baby. But we fixed the elbow, it looks good. It uses the hand sprites, which I really love. Those cute eyes, you see the iris change. Very cute. Alright, well thank you for joining this tutorial. I will have some links in the description. hopefully of some content that you can use, some characters, and a link to my friend Mark Diaz with 2D Animation 101. Check out his stuff, it's really good. We'll see you in the next tutorial.